a reading that tells you that things are going to be difficult, then at least you've got a heads up and you can do the planning and you can prepare yourself.
Should he or she jump right away for the answer, or some divination or channeling should be there?
It can be a good way for you to explore things on your own, to reflect, to do maybe a beginner's course, or I'm sure there are probably other courses out there on using.
Hello everyone, hope you are doing great. So today's session, we have our guest Melanaphy. She's the founder of Reiki Ima. She is a Reiki practitioner and also a tarot reader. So Ima, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, Tanvir. Hi everyone, I'm Emma. I'm a holistic therapist and teacher. I do animal Reiki, Reiki for humans, Reiki courses, wellbeing workshops. I do a lot of work with charities and local community organisations. And I spread the word on wellbeing. It's not just Reiki either. I have a shiatsu background and I'm a meditation teacher. So yeah, all different kinds of things. And tarot is something that I kind of got into over lockdown. When I was doing learning meditation and not able to make proper use of my Reiki professional kind of
Mhm,
qualification.
mhm.
So I got really into tarot. I felt drawn to it, and it was quite an interesting and enlightening experience. So it's an absolute delight to be here today to talk with you about it, Tanvir.
Thank you, Ima. You are up to many things, and our audience already know you. So probably we have a gap for a few months or around a year, I think now.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we also, yeah, we also recorded a tarot session previously for the beginners who wants to get into tarot. So the link would be in our descriptions. So Emma, today we will discuss about the tarot, but it is for our a little bit intermediate or advanced readers.
mm,
Okay.
yeah.
So my first question is like, when a reader is reading any kind of card and seeking an answer for their clients,
Mhm.
so should he or she jump right away for the answer, or some divination or channeling should be there?
That's a really good question. Thanks. So it will depend from reader to reader as to what their approach is. And the more experienced a reader is, the more they will be able to tune into the flow of the energy and the kind of meanings and nuance behind
Mhm.
what's showing up in the cards and what the person's told them and how that might fit in and what that might mean for them, how they should interpret it best given the circumstances of the person. Um, I would say, though, for pretty much everybody who works with energy and guidance who isn't just using tarot as a reflection kind of thing, so in therapy, which we'll talk about later, I think, um, I would recommend having a bit of a ritual to begin with where you connect with your guides. If you work with guides, you connect with energy, you connect deeply with your own intuition and you set your intention to be a clear channel to receive guidance from whether that be from yourself, from your own subconscious, from your own intuition, from that felt sense that we all have, or whether that be from the unseen. It's pretty much the same thing. So you work out your own kind of connection ritual, then you connect with the cards and you can, if you wish, look at the cards as an entity in their own right. So the cards have their own energetic vibration. The cards can be our teacher. The cards
Mhm.
can have messages for us in themselves.
Right.
Or you can look at the cards as a tool, an instrument, an extension of your energy. And I would say for me, they're both. They'll have their own vibration, their own particular way of communicating the messages that they communicate. And they're also an extension of me. Um, so spending a lot of time with your deck is very important,
Right.
maybe consecrating it, but building that relationship with the physical deck and setting your intention for the deck that it will bring forward the messages clearly from yourself, your subconscious, or from the unseen, from your guides or angels or whoever you work with, if you do. And when you've done this, it's a good idea to also then set your intention for um, you to be able to and go through. One thing I do is go through the process. So to be able to receive through the crown, perceive, so notice and see and be aware of through the third eye. Then down to the heart for knowledge, because that's where we have our innate wisdom, our knowledge, our consciousness, our connection with the world around us and with the person we're doing a reading for.
Right.
And then to communicate it clearly so that we will be able to, we're setting our purpose. We've set up our relationship with the deck and what we want it to do. We've asked our guides or our subconscious to work with us. And then we move into the reading. And I would say if you've done all of that, then it can be a bit of a narrative. You don't want to jump to conclusions. Each card has a variety of different ways it can be interpreted. So it's like telling a story almost. You kind of start to explore the different meanings, the different symbols, and this is where tarot differs from oracle cards, because the symbols in the cards and their meanings are very, very subtle and very multi-layered. And you can kind of look at it in more of a three-dimensional way. You can say, well, this is what it means classically. But I think with this symbol, with the symbol of this color here or this image here, to me that feels like it might represent this to do with your situation or this to do with your question. And bear in mind that it could be to do with the question, or it could be to do with the person and what they've told you about themselves and their situation as well.
Right.
And you kind of it's for you. You're like a storyteller, you're a weaver, and you have that conversation with the person as well as with your guides. And I'd say when you hit on you you don't have to jump right in. Sometimes you will have a very clear answer, but most of the time it will be more along the lines of you're exploring, you're walking through what it might be and what that might mean for them. You ask them whether that resonates, whether they have any thoughts around that. You notice in your own body what feels right when you're saying it. Sometimes when you're channeling, or at least it obviously it's different from person to person, but sometimes when you're channeling, you can have like a really strong physical sensation of burning in your heart to confirm as a message from your guide, your subconscious, the divine, that what you're saying is right. It's what they want you to be saying. It might feel different to you, but you get to know, you come to know what feels right and how you're receiving that confirmation. So does that answer your question, Tanvir?
Yes, yes, definitely. So I
Okay.
have also a linked question actually. So suppose someone uh, come to me and ask about a questions where I need to give a certain kind of reading, but the time is not appropriate for the answer. So
Yeah.
the question is valid, but
Mhm.
it is not a right time to give the answer. So
Yeah.
in that kind of situation, how a reader should proceed?
Yeah, good question again. So this does happen a lot. So I think the answer to this is threefold. Firstly, when you're talking to the person, you need to set when you're doing the reading, the consultation, you need to set their expectations and let them know that not everything is necessarily going you're not going to necessarily get an answer around everything. And so I would try to help them craft the question
Right.
so that it will be able to it will be framed in the right way so that they will be able to get a clear answer to it. And from then, it's like a conversation between you
Mhm.
and where the information's coming from. So you'll get that answer, and then you can ask another question. And you can
Right.
try and get clarity by having that conversation. You ask another question and you take another card, or you get them to take another card, depending on the format of the reading.
Okay.
And that sort of being in that questioning space and being fluid and being open to that dialogue is really important for a good reading. So yeah, if the person asks a question and there is literally no way that it can be answered, then the reading is probably going to be quite confusing, and that's a good indication that the information is not possible. And in circumstances like that, if they want clarity around something that isn't set in stone yet because free will comes into it. The world and how we're going to get to where we're going isn't necessarily set. It might flow all kinds of different ways, and your guides may not know. It may be quite fluid, and it's like we all co-create reality, don't we, and what's happening. So yeah. So under circumstances like that, it can be more helpful to take a lateral approach. So if you as reader sense that what they're looking for, maybe they haven't thought about it in terms of general guidance and then with kind of drilling down into any areas that stand out, the unknown as it were. So if you see that they haven't maybe considered that that might be a good approach, then you put it to them, make that suggestion. And if
Mm.
they're up for that, then you can do um, a more general. You learn different spreads as a reader, as
Mhm.
our viewers will probably be aware, quite possibly anyway. And there are some which are really good all rounders for when you want guidance, but you don't know what it's about yet. You know you need a reading, you know you need some help and pointers, but you don't know. You're not clear on the actual question. So you can start with a Celtic cross, which gives you a mini reading on one side, which is to do with the inner life and the situation, the kind of the reason behind the reading. It has cards for all of these things, what crosses and or complements you, and you can kind of mull that over. And then it's got several cards to the right, which are about the outer world, your circumstances, how you interact with the world around you. So you've got your soul's path, and then you've got the external physical realm. And that can be very extremely enlightening. And it can also open up the dialogue for more cards to be drawn. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
So, Ima, I want to add one of my experience that when a reader is reading cards or giving any divination through astrology or something like that, clients have kind of wishful thought,
Yes.
and sometimes it is so serious, like childbirth, and they have very wishful thought, and the divination is like quite negative.
Right. Oh,
You get
dear.
my point?
Yeah.
So it's quite difficult for a reader to explain the situation to their client. So can you please say something about that part, that at that very moment, how the reading should be for the client
Yeah.
from a reader's perspective?
Thank you, Tanvir. This is a really, really such a commonplace thing. And even for folks who, are very experienced with receiving readings,
Mhm,
there can be this tendency to look at the reading as information as being positive or negative.
mhm,
So, and this kind of, oh no, I hoped I was going to like win the lottery or something like that. And that's not actually all information from a reading is positive because A, what is in the cards hasn't happened yet.
mhm,
This is designed to help you reflect.
mhm,
It's information that is intended to give you the opportunity to navigate your path to get the best possible outcome. And in fact, with tarot, there are these kind of eternal archetypes and eternal wisdoms that are passed on through the deck. They teach us lessons on how to navigate life's challenges. So if you get a a reading that tells you that things are going to be difficult, then at least you've got a heads up and you can do the planning and you can prepare yourself
Right.
and you can look at it as an opportunity for progression, as
Mhm.
an opportunity for learning, for growth, to reflect, to make things better in your own life. Because these things, these challenges happen to all of us. And if they didn't, we would stagnate and we would not be in this reality.
Right.
And if you've got a heads up on it, then you're in a much, much better position. Added to which, if you have a heads up on it, it might not actually play out like that. Maybe it's just that you need to think about what would happen if that thing happened. And you might have the opportunity to avoid that happening. It might be a warning.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think but we are human beings and we want to be told all the nice, feel good, warm fuzzies kind of messages. Everything's going to be all right. You're going to do brilliantly. You don't need to do anything. Everything's sorted out for you. But unfortunately, that we are here to do things, to learn things, to go through things and experience
Right.
things, to become
Absolutely.
who we need to be,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
fulfill our potential, to do all the things that we came here to do, if that's what you believe on your path. Um,
Right.
so yeah,
Yeah. So I have a linked question. You already have explained many things about that part. The ethical point of view
yeah.
from a reader's perspective. So, uh, in such kind of readings where a reader can get readings that is not quite goes with the
Mhm.
uh, the clients or something like that. So, should reader be blunt about that, or be put some sugar coated answer? And what's the ethical point of view as per
Yeah.
your experience?
Ah, thank you, Tanvir. Yeah, so if a client comes to me and they are going to get an answer that was not what they were hoping for,
Mhm.
um, I try to I don't sugarcoat things, but equally I'm not blunt because the information and how we explain it, that thing about the throat chakra, you need to explain it in a way that it will be able to be received by that person. So your communication skills,
Mhm.
obviously it's up to them whether they do receive it, but
Mhm.
we have to do everything we can to explain it to them in a way that will frame it,
Mhm.
um, so that they will be able to take the right message from it and, you know,
Get benefited
free will.
at the end.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and and they will get they've asked the question,
Mm.
and we're there to share that answer. Um, if we're trying to be if we think, "Oh, yeah, we'll just be blunt and come out with it," that's not doing your job as a reader unless the person has been pushing back, and you have no other choice, because of the way that they have framed things and the way that the conversation is going. It's a dynamic thing.
Right.
But doing that in such a way as it's going to go as well as possible with that person,
Mhm.
and then it's up to them what they do with it, and yeah. So again, it's a bit like with the what we were just talking about, isn't it? Um,
Right. Yes.
things it's free will, but
Right.
we have to do it to the best of our ability and as empathetically,
Mhm.
but honestly as we can, and always making sure that they know we are not this all-powerful being, and we are looking at this reading through our eyes
Mm.
and explaining to them what the classical interpretations are, what there might be several different options with tarot, there often are, and you can say it could be relating to this or it could be relating to that. Um, so yeah, it's a little bit easier if you can do a reading not in real time, I find, because when you do that, this is how I started off with my readings for
Mhm.
myself and for other people, when I was first learning tarot and getting, qualified in it. Um, I would do the I would do each of the parts of it separately. So I would write down the cards. I would look at the book. I would look at a reference book that I had that had a lot of extra meaning, different interpretations. I would write down all the different things it could mean. And then I would go away and I would let my creative subconscious look for the connections, look for what this might mean in the context of this, in the context of that. And my subconscious, my guides would weave it all together and give me this answer that was multi-layered, that was pages and pages long, and that's not for everybody. That took many hours and a lot of time, but if you do have the time for it, certainly complex readings can be, it can be quite helpful to do it in that way. If you're near the beginning or if you have a client who has the resource and who is invested in getting a really, really detailed answer, that can
Right.
be a very helpful way of doing it because you are weaving the narrative then as well. So you can make sure that it's as likely to land in the right way as possible and you're giving all of the guidance as to what they can do next to help themselves and to to connect with their own inner guidance and intuition to see which of the possible interpretations is right for them.
Right.
Um, so that's another way that you can do that. But yeah, always be honest. It's not our information to decide whether we withhold or not. And also don't change it. Never change it.
Right.
You don't change it. It's that's a it's a very you have to be able to be a channel. You need to be a channel. It's not something you can abuse.
Right. So our last question, can we use tarot as psychotherapy or any
Mm.
kind of healing form, which we can see for the CBT or such type of methodology or programming our psychology? So can tarot be used in that way?
Yeah, really good question. Tarot can be used. Um, I wouldn't say necessarily for CBT, but it depends on your practitioner. CBT is more about, well, it could be, I suppose. Um, it's it's a really powerful tool in that it does, as we mentioned earlier, talk about universal archetypes. So it talks about the human condition. It talks about progression, learning lessons, the different ways, the different things that can happen to a human in their life, the different stages that most people go through. And it goes from sort of the physical through to the societal. So it kind of climbs and climbs and climbs. So you go from the kind of starting out in the world, basic lessons, the the kind of beginner's mind sort of lessons. Then you go through to having achieved a particular point in society and culture in the world of other people and societal relationships and
Right.
things like that, and building your status. And then you get into the realms of the spiritual and the wisdom and the mystery and then you get to the point right at the end where you're looking down at all of that. So there's an awful lot. There's pretty much any situation that a human can find themselves in is reflected in the cards in one way or another. So for people who have been through, for example, if you've been through trauma,
Hmm.
it might not be safe for you to or appropriate for you to go back and revisit that trauma, depending on the circumstances and the person. So you might want to take an indirect approach to explore the themes and the sorts of things that came up for you in that trauma or in your life afterwards, that the sorts of situations and triggers and things like that. You can explore it indirectly by talking about the main character in the deck, talking about these themes in terms of this story. So you're talking about them, but you're also talking about it from your own position, and you can look at the emotions that come up. When you look at that, you can talk about the judgments that might come up as well, and it's a safe space to do that in. It's like a sandbox. It's a way for you to start that healing process or to continue that healing process, making use of those archetypes. Um, so that's one way that you can do it. You can also, I guess, it's useful in all kinds of different ways. We use archetypal kind of cycles in different fields of study, in different types of therapy, in the arts, in all kinds of, kind of walks of life. We use archetypes in shiatsu as well, kind of cyclical archetypes, not the fool's journey, but a similar one, a
Right.
eternal kind of to do with the human experience. Carl Jung, used to use the tarot,
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
to connect with the, collective consciousness, and, yeah, you can be as creative with it as you want to be. It's there as, um like the alphabet can be used in many different ways to make many different words. The
Right.
tarot deck can be used in all kinds of ways and probably many ways that we haven't even thought about yet. So as therapists, it's definitely a good, and also as people who are having therapy, it can be a good way for you to explore things on your own, to reflect, to do a bit, maybe a beginner's course, or I'm sure there are probably other courses out there on using tarot with therapy. But just explore, just consider the possibilities. It allows your thinking brain to have something to engage with so that your intuition, as well as the emotions that are stored within you, all of the different parts of you, left and right brains and things, can all come to play with tarot because it's so multi-layered and because it is so universal. It's incredible. And you do not have to believe in spiritual applications to be able to make really good use of it as a kind of self-reflection tool as well, um, to explore um, kind of blocks and areas that you want to improve about yourself. Um, you could use it in that way in terms of a career path, as well as in terms of wanting to be um, in kind of healthier relationship to yourself and to others. So yeah, its applications are really, really never ending, I think.
Right. Thank you, Ima, for explaining that thing in so elaborate way. So, could you please tell me that how our audience can contact with you? I mean, if they think that they need some kind of reading or some kind of therapy or learn Reiki from you.
Yeah, thank you, Tanvir. So, I don't actually have tarot on my website. That's kind of something that I do under different circumstances and by request. So, if people would like to, people can still contact me on my website. So, you can send me a message from my website, which is www.reikiemma.com. We'll pop a link below. Um, or you can contact me on social media at Reiki Emma on Instagram and also on YouTube. You can drop me a message in the comments below, and I'll get back to you. You can contact me on Insight Timer, the meditation app, or you can send me an email, reikiemma.therapy@gmail.com. Um, yes, I've got all of the different things. You can just get in touch. I'll get back to you and we can sort something out. I can do readings online or in person,
Mhm,
or even by email if you prefer that sort of longer form
mhm,
written
mhm.
answer.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any last word for our audience?
Yeah, I think one thing that popped into my mind when I was
Yeah.
preparing for this was, and I think it's from my guides. Tarot was originally a card game for playing. It wasn't originally for divination. And I think my something I'd like to leave you with is try playing with all the ideas. Try not to get too kind of stuck into this is the answer, this is the thing. Play with all the possible things, play with your intuition. When we get into that play state, we open the possibilities for actual guidance and insight and intuition to come forward. So if you can try being a little bit playful sometimes with your tarot readings, maybe if it's just with yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that element of play is really important. So yeah, play, have fun, enjoy.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.